Welcome to Double Doinkers Fantasy Football Podcast starring Nick Meyer and Willie J. This week we bring to you our Week 6 picks, the season bust list, and the Week 5 recap. Something like that. You know, what's going on, Willie? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just living it up in Portland right now.
Yeah.
Can't
Which is good. He's living it up, you guys.
Yeah, I'm still alive. Yes. The fires are burning outside my apartment window, but my home remains for now.
All those scary people in chicken suits that you have to worry about. It's been I feel like for the whole entire season, you could have said any one of these weeks has been a very intense week. Anything other than football wise at this point. So, as always, we're both in Oregon. Oregon is still standing. There's no wars.
No,
We're not all dying.
It's been beautiful this week. This past weekend and the beginning of this week, it was like mid upper 70s, completely like sunny, so nice. And also, there is people in chicken suits, maybe more than usual, but there's always chickens and frogs around in Portland. It's not a new thing.
That is true. It's actually almost less than normal at this point.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, but yeah, it's just wild stuff out there, guys. Like, and definitely visit Portland. If you're worried about it, visit it. I promise you'll like it. There's something to like there for everybody.
There's a lot of little pockets. Like there's a city, but like the St. John's and Selwood neighborhood are so different than the rest. It's really there's something for everybody.
100%. And I mean, like everybody, you can find what you want there. It's a nice city. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But okay, so we're gonna talk about Week 6. I just want to say after Week 5, I have been having just not as far as what we've been talking about on this podcast, but I've been having one of the roughest years of fantasy that I've ever had. Man, it is bad. Like each week I look at my players and I'm like, I don't want to choose any of you guys. I choose the other guys. And that's been true. So what I want to say is, like, this is Week 5. This is when you start really feeling out your team, right? If the only time to panic right now is if you're 0-5.
Mm-hmm.
My team is really bad at this moment. I'm lowest in points for in my league. And it's just, a combination of bad luck and some choice picks that we'll talk about later that didn't pan out. But you know what? I'm still optimistic that I can make the playoffs because I'm 2-3.
Me too.
2-3 is fine.
There's some a couple few really elite teams in my 12-man main league. But then there's like I think 6 or 7 2-3, and then I think at least one of our 1 and 4s has as many or close to as many points for as the 2 and 3s. So like it's starting to come to fruition. But like even if you're 1 and 4, like you just need a couple hot weeks and some luck, and you could your team could really get up in there to the playoffs. And all you need to do is be in the top, I guess 6 or 8, depending on how you do playoffs.
And I think right now is a good time. Like I say, don't panic, but it's also a good time to take a look at your team and see, does it have the top end ability and does it have a floor? Because if your issue is top end ability, you can try to mitigate that by maybe getting some players that aren't doing so hot, but can boom.
Yeah,
I'm looking at like the Jameson Williams, those sort of dudes.
Yeah, he's gonna be. I try to get him this week. He's we're gonna talk about the busts on this episode, and I think we can also kind of go over some that we don't think maybe are season long bust, and then like who to target of those like that are on the bust list so far at least.
Yeah, we'll discuss like how we feel about all of them. But yes, there are ways out of anything that's going on. But also, like, if you think your team is underperforming and there's a chance that you see the growth from them, don't panic. It's not panic time yet. Six losses is when you're on the bubble. 7 losses is when you're out.
And if you're 0-5, you really have nothing to lose, and just blow your fab on whoever is the most upside. Like depending on who's in your league, you just gotta you don't need to save that fab.
No, you really don't. And one thing that I will say, that is maybe like a pretty obvious to everyone. I'm a commissioner of a league. I'm pretty sure Willie's a commissioner of a league. Even if you're doing bad, please don't quit because it hurts the whole entire league. And you don't need to. Like, you have a chance. You'll still have a chance going forward. But worst case scenario, keep playing players.
Yeah. Don't let your guys down. Don't let your league mates or your football players down.
Exactly, because it's about more than you at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps you. It doesn't really help me a ton, but it does help me enough to know that, like, you got to keep the league going. You got to keep it good. Okay. With that said, we should probably actually talk about what's going on coming up. So first off, let's talk about what happened last week, and that is we're going to talk about some injury news. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of these already, but let's talk about a little bit of it. I'm going to start off with the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, and in just one of the most banana games that has ever existed. I don't remember a team figuring out a way to lose as spectacularly as the Cardinals did this week.
I don't remember a sequence of events as just entertaining and wild as that interception, tipped interception, fumble, and then Tyler Lockett recovery. I think I watched the replay of that like 20 times. It's just there's so much going on.
Just like if you get, this is why I'm sure that certain teams will tell you if you get an interception in that scenario, just lie down.
Mhm.
You can run up there, like just lie down, just say, hey, let's get our offense out here, let's go. Because otherwise you might fumble it and do this.
Yep.
Just good for Tyler Lockett for staying involved and on it and ready to go.
That's my biggest takeaway is like he's a veteran player. I think this might be his first touchdown as a Titan in 2 years, and it was within like 20 seconds he saw his quarterback throw the interception, but he didn't like just give up. He was completely his head was completely in the game, and that really shows. I think separates a really good veteran player from maybe a player that just doesn't care as much or isn't as experienced.
Yeah, 100%. But big news out of this one is that Kyler Murray has a foot injury. We don't know the extent and how long it'll keep him out, but it is something to pay attention to because like the Cardinals offense has been mediocre. Not bad, mediocre. They've produced some pretty good fantasy pieces. Like if you started Michael Carter last week, you're happy. And if you start, their RB, you're typically okay to happy. Trey McBride has been fine. Maybe not the explosive blow up you want, but like he's been fine.
I think he's had 14 points every single week.
Marvin Harrison has done okay with, just okay. So again, mediocre. They've been mediocre, but I think if you remove Kyler Murray from this situation, the Cardinals are going to get ugly really quick.
Is it Jacoby Brissett though?
Yeah, it is Brissett behind him.
He starts every year. I swear. There's it's like a rule. He has to start at least one game.
It's like it's bad news if you have Jacoby as your backup. There's a few backups in the league that are like that, where if they show up on your team, your starters get injured. I'll think of them later, of course. So that's the Cardinals' injuries that you're going to want to pay attention to. Kyler Murray might play. I always wonder when things like this happen. I'm like, okay, you had the most horrifically stupid loss you've ever had, and are you just feeling a certain way? You're like, I need to take a break from work for a day or two.
Yeah, just reset. When I first heard that Kyler Murray was injured, I thought he had a concussion that was caused by him getting smacked in the face during that snap. So funny. And I think he left the field after that, and maybe he was in protocol, but that was never just very funny sequence.
Just wild. The Detroit Lions wide receiver Khalif Raymond is going to be out against the Bengals. That's not like the biggest deal, except for that maybe means a little bit more of the targets can get funneled to one of the top 3 options. You're looking at maybe more targets for Jameson Williams, so you could see a good Williams game. Amon-Ra almost certainly will get his, and then Sam Laporta as well. Isaac Tesla is this like fringe case of if you want to add someone and just see if they can really do it, because maybe he takes over Khalif Raymond's job, but Khalif Raymond's job is not significant enough that I envision it being a major piece going forward.
Yeah, I think Isaac Tesla reminds me of some other player that was young that would just consistently get touchdowns, but then just really wouldn't do anything else. But he looked good every time he got a touchdown. I can't think of who it is, but it's someone in recent years, maybe like kind of Gabe Davis light, very boomer bust. But Tesla's had some very fun catches this year.
Tesla's just a really interesting prospect because of the draft capital, really, and the fact that he didn't really have too many wide receivers. Like, he wasn't a full-blown wide receiver until basically they're saying now go be it. And he just has that shock factor
Yeah, and
Um,
that's what the Lions like. It makes sense. It's a
mhm.
good fit.
I'm trying to remember the name of I'm gonna call him Young Joka because that's the name I remember. But the wide receiver that was on the Giants and then the Chiefs, Young Joka. Um,
Hmm.
he went bald in between.
Playing on the Giants that long got him.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, someone out there screaming his name. He had a touchdown in the Super Bowl. It was very helpful.
Hmm.
But anyway, not important. He could be like this, where this guy's got like all this talent and all he flashes, but he's just never really able to put it all together.
I'm thinking of me. I think I'm sort of you reminded me. I think it might be Mecole Hardman who also had a
No,
touchdown.
not Mecole Hardman.
Oh, I
Although,
mean my Tesla comparison.
okay,
Yeah,
that's fair.
yeah.
Spencer Schrader of the Indianapolis Colts. I think he tore his ACL, but something in his knee is busted, and he is going to miss the season, which stinks because I think he was ranked like 1 or 3 or something in kickers. So
Yeah, I think he was kicker one, and he actually not just that he was a good kicker, but the Colts game plan was really centered around, getting in the red zone and then just getting points no matter what. So there was a lot of field goals and a lot of Colts games. This is a pretty big blow. Pretty big blow. If you had him on your team.
Yeah, and it might be worth picking up whatever Colts kicker they sign. I don't know off the top of my head who it is.
I think it's Michael Badgley.
Yeah, and whoever it is, they're going to be probably a pretty worthy ad because with kickers, it's not the skill of the kicker matters, mind you. If you're missing kicks all the time, that's really bad in fantasy. But the situation of the kicker almost matters so much more as far as top end. So if you're playing with kickers and you want a top end, if it's Badgley, get Badgley. Double check.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to just real briefly, because we're talking about the Colts, and I, as a Raiders fan, had to watch that whole entire Colts Raiders game. And I didn't look away because I had someone else over at my house who was also a huge Raiders fan, so I couldn't just like justify switching over to red zone and saying screw this. So the Raiders might be I don't know how else to say this. I feel like they're completely cursed at this point because you can clean house, you can have a whole new brand new coaching staff, GM,
Tom Brady.
ton of new players. Tom Brady steps in the building. He's taking and you can still show up and be just god awful for what reason? Like, how can Geno Smith be this bad?
And he has better weapons in the same coaching he had during his best years in Seattle. So that also just makes. I mean, in the O line, you could say, okay, the O line for the Raiders is bad, but it was atrocious in Seattle 2 years ago.
It goes further back than Geno Smith, like Gardner Minshew, and I know he wasn't good at any point, but when he came to the Raiders, he was so much worse. I think he had a quote where he's like, "I've never thrown this many interceptions in my entire career. I don't know what's happening."
And he was coming coincidentally. I mean, he was coming off the Colts team where he nearly got them to the playoffs. So that was a huge just drop in quality.
I am sitting here and I'm trying to figure out what the Raiders could do to actually ever get out of this weird hole that they've dug themselves into. I'm like, who do the Raiders need to walk into this building? Do they need like their next head coach to be like Barack Obama or something? Like what do we need to get rid of this funk? First off, this is a shot season for the Raiders, and I feel bad for you because if Geno can't get out of his head, your next options are Kenny Pickett. I did that to myself. I did that to myself, by the way. Maybe this is all me.
Is AOC still on the team?
He is, but he's hurt. He broke his wrist or something in the preseason. So
they traded for Pickett. Yeah.
Shockingly, AOC is going to be the best quarterback on this team again. And good God, AOC, you're not ever going to get the credit you deserve for sticking this out and being the best quarterback over year. AOC is going to get traded to the Saints at some point and be the best quarterback that's ever existed.
I could see him. He's so solid. My theory for what the Raiders can do, and you're going to hate this, and it maybe sounds too simple, but really, I think they needed to just roll the dice and draft the best quarterback they can draft in the first round next year. Again, they have in theory, they have a good team on paper. And if you get the right quarterback in there with these weapons, like it just has to click. I feel like with the influence in that organization, even if they're cursed, like if something has to click, and you need to give the fan base hope by actually drafting somebody, I think.
I want to agree. I want offensive line or quarterback. I don't see how they do anything else. Like the defense hasn't been so bad. Like they're not great, but they're not so bad at this point that I'm scared. But the offensive line, I don't even know, man. It didn't look that terrible. Geno's just, I just can't understand it. These guys get here, they're in their head, and they blow it. And for what? We're a bad team. All you have to be is okay, and
Yeah,
we're gonna love you. We gave Derek Carr like 12 years.
yeah.
Okay, and I'm sorry. I'll stop ranting about the Raiders. The Kansas City Chiefs. This isn't. I'm reading off of a list from the NFL here, and it says Xavier Worthy had a flare up.
It was on a plane or something. His ankles got swollen.
Yeah, he played. He looked fine.
Yeah.
Loss. Okay, here's the big one. Everyone knows about this one already, I'm sure, but feel it out. Los Angeles Chargers running back Omarion Hampton hurt his ankle. He was immediately placed on IR. Good news. We're going to start with good news because we want to be optimistic here. Sounds like he'll be back after the 4 weeks. That's what they're talking about.
Hopefully.
Bad news. He just finally, he was really starting to shine. He was looking like he was going to be a bona fide top 10 RB for sure.
Yeah.
An offense that could use it, an offense that's going to score a ton. And this just puts a hamper on that because the thing about these injuries is that when you hurt your ankle and you come back after 4 weeks, it's not usually just like, okay, here you are, you're back to where you were before. Whoever shows up for these next few games is going to be the new Najee Harris, in my opinion. He's going to be there just enough to be annoying.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think I would not be surprised if they sign a Gus Edwards just because he's a free agent and he knows the system. He's young and healthy enough. Can't really think of another free agent running back off the top of my head that could work here. But like you said, like they're going to ease Hampton back into the offense when he comes back. And they're going to want to keep him fresh for hopefully maybe a playoff run. But the injuries to Hampton and then the O-line just make me worried about this team. It just seems destined to go like 9-8 and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, we've talked about the offensive line injuries from before. They also had 2 more offensive linemen get hurt, Mekhi Becton and Trey Pipkins. So it's just not getting better. It's getting worse. Okay, so the New England Patriots running back Antonio Gibson tore his ACL. He's out for the season. Sucks for Antonio Gibson because he had a role in this offense. Now, the question that every single person in the world is going to ask, and me too, because one of the names we're going to talk about coming up here soon is on my team, and a very important piece of it, Travion Henderson, should get more opportunities because of this, and because Ramondre Stevenson can't stop fumbling the ball.
That doesn't seem to matter. He just keeps getting the ball.
It doesn't seem to matter. And Travion Henderson, like full disclosure, he hasn't done anything special. Just nothing special.
Not since that preseason return touchdown.
And that looks so good. It was very tricky. This is a good reminder right now, though, that if you're feeling the way I feel, I wanted to punt Henderson off my team immediately at the end of that game last week. And don't. Trust me, don't. Trust me, don't. No matter how much you're in your feelings about it, because I'm there with you. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need this guy off my team. I can't stand it. He's scoring 4 points when he has all this. He is the sort of player that once he figures it out, if he does figure it out, he's gonna blow up.
And he has like 8 more weeks to do that.
Exactly. It's early. Week 5 feels like it's starting to get late. It's not. Trust me. This is where it's a marathon, not a sprint, comes in, because you're gonna lose so many of your players. These players that you're playing, I'm playing off the waiver wire. I have like Malik Washington in my lineup. Eventually, he's going to be a bona fide starter that people should have had for the weeks, and we're going to be on the 4th string guys that no one knows about.
I was going to say I didn't get to catch the first like few quarters of that Patriots Bills game, and I was getting notifications on my phone that Ramondre Stevenson scored a touchdown, and I like excitedly, when I got a chance to look at my team, I thought I was going to have like 25 points. He got me like 12 points and 2 touchdowns, or like it was like 14 points. It was like 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 4 yards. It was like,
yeah, he didn't do anything except score touchdowns, which is great. He scored touchdowns, but it really feels like it is 100%. Go ahead, Travion, earn this, do it. And so the question is can he do it? I think he can, because he has the potential skill. But there is this chance that it's just frustrating like it is now, and you have someone who has the opportunity who just cannot do anything with it. One thing I would love to see, and it doesn't matter because I'm not the New England Patriots coach, I'm not variable, clearly, is get him some screens. Why has he not had any like true screens? They keep throwing screens to like Hunter Henry, which is great. It's been working for them. So I guess what am I supposed to say about that? throw Travion a few screens.
Just give him an opportunity, like even especially in a game where I think the Patriots are looking good, and I think they'll have like this week against the Saints, they could potentially be up. So that's the time when you take those risks.
He's gonna be in my starting lineup again, man. It's gonna hurt again.
Into it. Well, and I will say, you said that Antonio Gibson has a defined role in this offense, or did. So regardless, Henderson's usage has to go up. He has to get more points just based on the injury. Like,
even if he ends up being a Jag, he's gonna get more opportunity.
Yeah.
So you know, like, don't get overly emotionally involved in one game. No matter how bad it feels, just remember to look forward. New York's Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton, of course, he hurt his hamstring. Because you can't have the easy 1-to-1 replacement.
No,
it's impossible. So Wandale still hanging out, still standing strong. Theo Johnson also, I like Theo Johnson because he wasn't doing anything, and then Jackson Dart comes in and starts throwing him the ball. Even if he's not like getting a ton of yards yet, Jackson Dart is throwing him the ball.
It's gonna be inevitable, and he scored back-to-back touchdowns. And like, if your tight end situation isn't great, like if you got Jawan Johnson and we're trying to ride that, like maybe that will continue. I was skeptical. Pick up Theo Johnson and see like what he can do. If he can kind of fill that kind of surprise, just touchdown reception heavy kind of role. Also, the injury, I think Cam Scatterbo just feels really inevitable. I was still kind of skeptical after he had a couple blow up games, but he just kind of has to be involved in this offense with the injuries they've had. And he's looked good.
Yeah, I do think they will get Tyrone Tracy back this week, which I don't imagine. It didn't look like they're gonna like move away from Cam. Don't get me wrong, but there will be opportunities that are taken from him, and that I think personally is a good thing because of the way Scatterbo runs. It's amazing to watch, and maybe he is just built that way. Like, but he just leads with his head everywhere.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, that's what I have for serious major injuries. There's Brenton Strange. I should mention Brenton Strange in the Jaguars game. He is on IR. I, at the time speaking, don't remember the exact injury, but okay, so this is where one of my other draft picks here, Travis Hunter, another player who's just been super mid. And, you know, through no fault of his own, he looks great whenever he has the ball in his hands. He really does. I actually, every time I see him get the ball in his hands, I'm like, this is the guy. This is who it needs to be. But, of course, he's just playing two roles. With Brenton Strange out, however, and Travis Hunter looking good with the ball in his hands, is this the time? Is there opportunity?
He had the best game of his career against the Chiefs. It wasn't quite what I was like maybe predicting with the touchdown in primetime, but I think he broke 10 points, 11 points, which, again, isn't great, but that's a solid flex. And like you said, he's gonna have to get more opportunity. Like, it's just kind of.
Brenton Strange was getting targets, like a bunch of them. It's crazy to me because really Travis Hunter does look so good. Every time he gets the ball, he makes the first person miss. That's like the mark of one of those like truly great receivers. Is can you break that first tackle and turn and become a yak machine? You know, and it's very clear that he can do that.
And he has great hands too. Like, he can catch and like just
I don't know what, like, it's the route tree or like the cornerback thing, but at some point I think that he's gonna have to make a choice, and wide receiver seems like a really good first choice. But who knows? It's impossible. I don't want to put it out there too much because he's on my team, so I'm a little bit, you know, like on the hopium with Travis Hunter.
I think one thing that could lean into him becoming more heavily involved in offense is that the Jaguars defense looks pretty incredible. I think they're still the number one fantasy defense just because they've gotten so many pick sixes or just return touchdowns, at least compared to the rest of the league. I think they lead the league in takeaways. They're up there. Devin Lloyd also, I think he's a dark horse defensive player of the year. He's gotten like 3 interceptions as a linebacker, and he's looked really, really good.
It seems like it's a pretty solid choice. I'm still on. I'm geeking out about that Isaiah Rodgers game against the.
He deserves defensive player of the year just for that game.
I mean, it was nuts. Okay, so let's move on. That was your injuries. There's kind of some of the games we talked about as well. Let's go on to the bust list, because the bust list is something that I think, again, I came up with this because I was upset at Travion Henderson. This is the truth of it. I talked a little bit about that, and I was like, man, these guys all stink. I need to get rid of all my whole team and just pick up free agents and hope for the better. And of course, that's not the answer. Okay, don't hear what I'm not saying. Don't do that. That's not the answer. But bring it back down, feel it out. Let's talk about these players and the ones that have been not what you drafted, not what you wanted. Some of them have been just outright bad. Some of them are injured. We'll bring those guys up too, just because got to give them their roses. But let's go ahead. I'm going to start off with the first overall pick here. This is Ja'Marr Chase. So Ja'Marr Chase, at this point, he has been a bust. I know the last game he was pretty darn solid.
This is going off the bus based on average ADP preseason.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Not now. And it's from Fantasy Pros. So just if it doesn't look like exactly what you saw, that's where this ADP is coming from.
I felt vindicated what I said about not worrying about Ja'Marr Chase because I knew that he just is inevitable. I wasn't panicked on him rest of the season. He looked great. I lost my week because of him. My opponent had him. And I think that he's looked like a bust so far, but I'm intrigued by the Joe Flacco trade and what that can make, what that can look like for him to buoy up to maybe closer to where he was taken.
The Joe Flacco trade, let's talk about it for a quick second because this will be important for here too, and for a couple of other players that are on this list, obviously. So I don't know that I think Jake Browning was the real issue here, right? Because I think that offensive line was so porous and so bad, and the play calling and the coach is so bad that I had a hard time seeing anyone other than top end talent really make it work. With that said, Joe Flacco, he hasn't been good this year. He's been very bad this year for the Browns. There's a reason why Dylan Gabriel's in it. It's not because they need to see what he's got. It's because Joe Flacco was real bad.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe Flacco has something that I think, to me, is the recognition of defenses. Mm-hmm. Right? He's been playing this game for forever. I mean, like since the mid 2000s or the late 2000s. I don't know. It's been a long time that Joe Flacco's been playing. And he knows what defenses look like. Like regardless, he knows. Like you don't have to teach him. That's why he can come in and he can play right away. He's seen everything. He knows everything. Mm-hmm. And if you have to throw the ball in like 6 seconds, okay, sorry, that's not football time. If you have to throw the ball in like a second to a second and a half, knowing the defense is probably really helpful.
He's still going to get sacked a lot behind this line, but you're right. He's a much faster processor, Browning. And he locks into certain players. That's what gets me, some hopium, maybe Chase Brown in the checkdowns, but he locks into players. And if he establishes any kind of, connection of Ja'Marr Chase, I could see Chase getting, 17 targets a game again.
Yeah. And that's true. That is the other thing with Joe Flacco is that, well, we saw how he did on the Browns, but the Browns and the Bengals are just completely different teams. The Bengals, your main issue is that your offensive line is just garbage. The Browns, your issue is that your skill position players aren't necessarily always showing up in the way that you need them to. I mean, you've got a rookie Harold Fannin, you've got Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman.
Yeah,
these are players that we've seen do well in specific situations, but we don't always see them do well. And I don't even think that it's necessarily expected for these players to do well.
And they're nowhere close enough to nowhere near the skill position players in the Bengals.
Yeah, that's 100% fair. So Ja'Marr Chase, I think for me, if you're looking at him as a bust, I think that's fair if you think about it in terms of average draft position. But if you think about it in terms of what he means to your team, I think that he's still going to be a great asset. As we saw, he's just that dude, and he's been that dude, and he can make the first player miss when he grabs the ball, which means he's going to be always possible to score some points on a breakaway reception, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's just who he is.
Second player on my list is one I don't really want to talk about, but we don't have to talk about him for very long. It's Malik Nabers. He tore his ACL. It's not his fault, but rip,
ADP 8th overall. I think if he was still playing, even if Jackson Dart, I think he would have probably finished around 8th overall. He was looking so good. He had that one bad game where he was covered the whole time, but he was looking like one of the best receivers in fantasy and in the league.
Yeah, it's just a shame that he tore his ACL. I'm so sad. He was my top pick, in the league that I care the most about, of course. Derrick Henry, average draft position of 10th overall at this point. He might not feel like a bust when you think about him because he had that amazing first week and that okay second week, but with the way that the Ravens season has gone, he doesn't have opportunity to do well because he's not this like come from behind, I'm gonna catch up your team sort of running back.
No.
So he's running back 23 right now. And besides that first week, he has had just poor games. Week 3 against Detroit, he actually had a touchdown, but he's looking pretty touchdown or bust. And even when he gets those touchdowns, it's not great.
I think it started off as kind of like he was in his head, and I think the game script maybe wasn't going his way. And then Lamar Jackson got injured, and now the floor is really just falling through.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he's going to be a season long bust, but like it's just been a combination of just like poor luck and just circumstance. It's hard to get optimistic about Henry based on where you drafted him. I don't see him being an RB1 again this season, but he's proven me wrong before. But I'm worried about the Ravens. That Texans game was brutal.
Yeah, the Ravens feel like there's got to be some like bad vibes going on right now. And how do they get back from it? Of course, having Lamar Jackson, who should have been the MVP last year, that can help, and they could make a late season push. I wouldn't even be shocked if they do, but it's just not as clear right now. He will have some games, so they have a week 7 bye. They go against the Rams this week, and then after that they get Chicago and Miami. And if you want to get right, that's a good, nice little way to get right.
Yeah,
but that's immediately followed up by Minnesota and Cleveland.
I mean, hopefully, Lamar would be healthy by then. Hopefully, Derrick Henry will have reestablished himself. Like Derrick Henry against the Dolphins and against the Bears, that's going to be slam dunk. Like regardless of how the team looks, he's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm just so. I do agree. I think that Derrick Henry for me is a player that I think you're just gonna have to get used to him being an RB2 instead of your RB1.
Here's my prediction for next year. If he's still on the Ravens, he's gonna fall to like the 3rd or 4th round because of this year, and he's gonna super return value.
Yeah. And just for any of the people who like to plan ahead, he does play Green Bay in Week 17. Don't love that. Okay, we'll move on. The next is also running back Ashton Jeanty. Overall ADP number 11. As we saw when he went against the Bears, he does have the skill to put up massive points. As we see every single week. As a Raiders fan, I'll tell you this: Ashton Jeanty is not the reason why Ashton Jeanty sucks.
No.
If you can't score because you keep turning over the ball, you're going to keep getting these great game scripts that move away from him. However, he's getting more involved in the passing game. I think Ashton Jeanty on this list right now for me is simply just throughout the first 3 weeks. Going forward, he's going to be just fine. You're going to enjoy having him.
I think he finishes as an RB1. He passes the eye test.
Yeah, even last week in the week he didn't do so well. He had 4.8 per carry and 5 receptions. So like it's not him. I don't know that the Raiders ever figured out. I don't know that it matters. Brian Thomas Jr. overall ADP 15. Who knows whose fault it is at this point? I think what you said was actually probably the most correct. Shane Waldron, that's his fault.
Yep.
And that's okay to say. It hasn't gone well, and it looked really ugly the first few weeks. It's looked less ugly recently, but it still doesn't inspire a lot of hope.
It feels weird. I mean, yeah, the Shane Waldron thing, but that plays a factor. But his look looked really bad in comparison to what he was last year. It's a 180. I don't know. It's the Jags offense is simultaneously like really disappointing, but still really good.
If you have if you wanted the running game on the Jags to work, you love what's happening. And if you wanted the passing game to work, you hate what's happening.
Yeah.
And
maybe they wanted the passing game to not work, and that's why they hired Shane
Waldron. They're like, we need to get the run going. Also, they're trying to move on from Trevor. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But it's been complicated. Like Trevor Lawrence won that game against Kansas City, but he also didn't look very good, in my opinion, for most of the game.
I think if there's somebody in this Jags team to maybe like highlight is Liam Cohen. I mean, he's coached some close games. I don't know if he's been like perfect with his play calling, but certainly has not been disappointing as a coach.
Yeah. So, do you expect Brian Thomas Jr. to return on value at any point?
If he's taken 15, I can't see it happening. I think he's going to get better, but it's just not. He can't just automatically get that much better when he's already looked like this.
I think it's going to take a significant fall off of the run game.
Yeah,
I don't know that happens because the running game is scoring the touchdowns right now.
The Brendan Strange injury maybe will make it more clear in this week, but we'll see.
Brock Bowers pick number 19. There's one obvious reason that he hasn't returned value, and that's injury. So it's hard for me to say anything other than if he gets healthy and they actually let him sit, I think that he's going to have a good end this season. But it's really going to hurt for everyone who drafted him. It already has, and it's going to keep hurting because really, for him to get healthy, he's going to have to sit for like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. Will they do that, or will they try to do something stupid like, "Oh, we're still mathematically alive. Let's bring him back"?
He's one of my favorite trade candidates right now. Like if you have someone in your league who drafted him, but also like picked up a Hunter Henry or a Zach Ertz and like maybe you're starting him over Bowers, I think that he's someone you could probably get right now, and I think that you should. Just because he hasn't fallen off like that first half of week 1.
Yeah,
remember that? Like think about that, and focus on that. If you want to see what he can be capable of this season.
Well, and if you want like the one hope for us Raiders fans have is that really the whole entire offense was designed around Brock Bowers, and him being hurt has completely hampered and changed the timings of everything.
That's some copium.
Dude, it's 100%. Don't worry. I have like no qualms about that. I'm not positive about this at all. But yeah, so Brock Bowers, I think he's someone who you're gonna like at the end of the season. Right now, you just gotta wait for him to get past this injury. The injury, I think, has completely hampered him.
Returning value, I don't know if he was taking 20 overall, but I just am against taking tight ends that early anyway.
Yeah, there's almost really no chance. He would have to be number 1 or 2 to return value. That's not happening. So that's an unfortunate. He will be a bust at the end of the year. AJ Brown, 21. Yeah. This was the week. He needed to show up this week after they had complained, and they decided they were going to pass the ball a ton, and then they lost the game. It's not going to make him want to keep passing the ball.
No. Yeah, I mean, he's not a bust per se, but he's boomer bust. And I don't know. He's still a great receiver. I think similar to Henry, I could see him slipping quite a bit in ADP next year and then being a huge value that way. Mm-hmm. But this year, I think you should have taken somebody else in the second round.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We'll get our next Brown after this. Chase Brown, 22. I have some hopes for Chase Brown because one thing is that he's definitely not returning the value you hoped he would, and it was some of the worst yards per carry anyone's ever seen, and that's what everyone will think about. But if the Bengals remain this bad, and we saw it a little bit last week, and you're in a PPR league, there's a lot of qualifiers here. I know. I think that it will get a little bit better.
If Joe Flacco, like, in his ability to read defenses, if he's still like getting sacked, getting pressured so quickly, he's just going to be checking down a Chase Brown. There's a world where similar to what I said about Jamar Chase Brown could get like 16, 17 checkdowns a game and like return some PPR value there.
Well, here's the ugliest thing that I could think that the Bengals will turn into, but it might work for them. If you imagine the Dolphins from last year, where they had skill and they just had zero time. No time to process. They were on their backup quarterback who didn't have all of the he wasn't able to make the offense run, and everything ran through Achane. Yeah, everything ran through Achane.
Brown, it's not like he has a ceiling of Achane, like close to that, but still, he definitely has that role value. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. Achane is better at that. It just seems to come naturally for him, whereas Chase Brown, he can do it. It's just not going to be. He's not like the end zone hawk that Achane seems to be.
That's a good comparison. Yeah.
But that's what I would hope for. You want like Achane light, or you're like, okay, I can get 13 to 16 points off of PPR dump offs just to try to move the sticks when we really can't figure out any other way to do it.
Yeah.
Lad McConkey, pick number 26.
Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen have it's not like Ladd has looked bad. It's just that this passing offense has really stepped up. We went into the year saying like, wow, don't draft, at least I was saying like, don't draft Herbert because like he doesn't have that great of skill position players around him. And he just does. And Akonki's just a little lost in the shuffle. It's not like he's looked bad.
No, I think the Keenan Allen signing, and we talked about this a little bit, is bad because Keenan Allen just plays the same area of the field that Ladd played. And so Keenan Allen's your consummate pro. He knows how to get open in any situation, whereas Ladd, is still second year.
Yeah, well, Ladd was Keenan last year. There was no Keenan, so like it's an awkward place. But I think he's gonna get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we saw him catch a touchdown. If they make it, the hard part is, okay, so he caught a touchdown last week, and Quentin Johnston had a bad game. Yeah. Is this something where they're gonna have to choose which one to sacrifice each week? If so, you're not gonna really love having either.
I think you're still gonna love having Keenan Allen though.
His role is just too important to moving this ball down the field.
Yep.
So Ladd, don't panic on him. I mean, you can sell him if you want off a touchdown game, but I wouldn't panic. I would say he's not what you thought he was, but he'll still be okay.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, 31. Do you want the second wide receiver on a Joe Flacco offense for a team that he didn't start the season on, and that has an offensive line? The answer could be yes.
I don't even know, man. Maybe the one thing giving me hope is that they really paid him a lot of money. Like they really gave T. Higgins a bag, and he has to be involved for. Yeah. I think the Bengals aren't that stupid. It has to be.
So here's where I think the hope comes from for me is that when we saw Jake Browning toss the ball, it was like an even jump ball split between Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And I am thinking specifically about the, I believe it was the Kansas City game. And it was just like every play was like just have them run on the outside, immediately throw the ball to Jamar, immediately throw the ball to T, immediately throw the ball to Jamar. And it didn't work for either of them, but it was like a 50-50, like just throw it to one of them immediately as soon as the play starts.
And so, I mean, that is a hope that it can continue with Flacco. I do want to add too, remember last year when T. Higgins was pretty boomer bust, and then I think he won people championships week 17. Yep. I see the Bengals playing the Cardinals that week, which is a pretty easy matchup, especially for T. Higgins. So maybe he'll have that kind of like role again where he just wins you your league.
Yeah, I'm vaguely interested in trading for him for cheap if you don't need him as like your floor piece. I could see him being pretty good in certain scenarios. He could win you a week every once in a while.
He's a good trade. He's a good flex that you won't start every week, but you can definitely start sometimes.
Terry McLaurin, 39. This has been an injury season, so that's the first thing you have to say. Second off, he missed training camp. It missed almost all of off season, and his chemistry hasn't really gotten back with Jaden Daniels yet. It doesn't seem. I imagine, knowing what we know of Terry McLaurin after all these years in the league, he will get back on the field and he will figure it out and he will provide a solid baseline. Debo's looked better than I think anyone would have thought. So I have a hard time on him becoming a wide receiver one like he was prior. So I'm feeling like wide receiver 2 is where he'll settle at some point at the end of the season.
I feel like he's similar to T. Higgins with maybe just more upside. Maybe. I mean, they're kind of similar where they are like wide receiver 1 type players that are maybe like wide receiver 2s on their offense. I mean, in Higgins' case for sure. But in McLaurin's case, with the circumstances, he's kind of like a wide receiver 1 type that's playing the 2 role. So hard to say.
But if Debo was looking worse right now, I think I'd be more excited about him. But Debo's looking really good, so why move away from that?
I just can't get into the belief that Debo's going to be healthy all season. I'm sorry. I don't like to use the term injury prone, but he just is one of those guys that is.
Here's the thing for me is that I could see Debo being so petty that he finds a way to stay healthy all season. And I know that sounds ridiculous.
He's not on the Niners. He's not. Yeah, actually, you know what? Never mind. He's not on the Niners anymore. So
he's healthy now. That's what you do to heal your bones. You leave San Francisco. It's gotta be the smog. Travion Henderson, pick 45. Someone who I've already talked about a bunch here. I don't think we need to talk a ton more about him. Hold on
He's
to him.
not going to return value where you drafted him, but hold on to
No.
him. He's going to get better.
He has to get better. It can't really get a lot worse than what we've seen. I mean, I swear, man, if Ramondre fumbles one more time, what do? They sign someone else.
I don't know.
DJ Moore, 50.
See, I was skeptical on DJ Moore going into the season, and I in my own personal, like my main draft, I threw a dart on Rome because he was going later, and I just saw him having far more upside than DJ Moore, and that's clearly been the case. Rome is like not the same kind of player, but he's like Amon-Ra in this Ben Johnson offense in terms of being that receiving focal point. And DJ Moore, maybe not to compare him to any other Lions players, but like it feels like Luther Burden is slowly becoming more and more part of his offense. And I think by the end of this season, Luther Burden will be a big featured role. And I think he could challenge DJ Moore for the wide receiver 2 role, just based on maybe like targets or involvement, maybe not production, but like an involvement. And I don't know. He's always been good every year. He was taken pretty high in fantasy drafts, but I just didn't see him being a clear part of his offense each week, and he's not going to be. He's going to be boomer bust.
So what you're saying is that DJ Moore is the Isaac Tesla of the Bears?
Not quite that. Maybe he's like Sam Laporta year 2 of the Bears.
Fair. Okay. In the name of time, I'm gonna let's for these next names. I'm gonna make this simple. We're just gonna say that we're gonna do the keep trade cut.
Okay, we got some busts coming up, so this will be easy.
Yeah. So Devonta Smith.
Keep.
I'm there. Trade for if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Jameson Williams.
Keep. Trade for.
100%.
One of my number one trade fours.
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out with him. They have to almost. RJ Harvey.
Trade for. I think he's gonna be this year's Bucky Irving. That's like a gut feeling, but just based on him and Bucky have similar roles, I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna.
He's looked good. And J.K. Dobbins is just he doesn't finish seasons healthy. And he could prove me wrong this year, but I wouldn't bet on that. No. Isaiah Pacheco.
Bust.
Yeah, bust. Cut him. You don't have to cut him, I suppose. He could be a nasty RB2 if you need it for bye weeks, but other than that,
yeah, nasty is a word to use.
TJ Hawkinson. He's pretty busty looking.
He's pretty busty, yeah. Now with Addison back too, it's
Cut for me. TJ Hawkinson. You can chase a waiver tight end.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley. Gotta keep him.
You gotta keep him. It's too early to tell. He looked good last week. I don't know what's going on. Busted based on how I viewed him, but keep.
Yeah, he was a bust cut until last week, and then after that, if that's a thing that starts moving forward, he's going to be someone you wish you kept.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter. This is keep for me.
Keep. Yeah.
It hurts, but if his role expands on offense, I think he'll do great. Jerry Jeudy.
Cut. I just yeah, I don't know.
He's the wide receiver 1. He's clearly the wide receiver 1 there. And Dylan Gabriel, I don't know that he's ever going to throw the ball downfield. I don't know that you like the receiving options on this team scare me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about Jeudy in a few minutes here, but yeah, I'm not excited.
Tyrone Tracy Jr., pick 75. It's injury season for him, but still keep trade cut.
Yeah. You what did you say?
Keep trade cut.
Yeah. Just keep. I just keep. We'll see.
Yeah. You do want to see what happens because again, we haven't seen a lot of him in Scatabo when Scatabo's actually broken out. Caleb Johnson, he's cut already. You cut him already.
But I mean, maybe like next year, someone will take him in the 15th round and have a great gem, but not this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year.
Caleb Johnson, average draft position was 1 pick ahead of Rome Odunze.
Wow. Jesus.
If you want to feel bad about yourself, you took Caleb. It's fair. David Njoku, pick 80.
I don't know. It's too soon with Dylan. He was involved with Dylan last week, but I'm leaning towards cut, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. there's a world in which Dylan Gabriel only uses tight ends because
Mhm.
he doesn't know how to throw the ball outside of the middle of the field.
So
And
far, so far, that's what we've seen.
yeah, and if that's the case, Njoku's going to get PPR targeted. I mean, you're gonna volume your way into relevance.
Mhm.
Evan Ingram, 81.
Cut. Yeah, he just doesn't seem to have a role here. I don't know. I was super high on him, but
Yeah,
just
it hurts. I think that like we've seen him being used a little bit more, but not enough for relevance yet. Yeah, I think you can safely cut him, pick him back up if he looks great.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
don't let him sit there and take up a spot on your team that you could be used for someone else.
yeah. You keep him if you can, but he just I don't know. Cortland Sutton's taking his targets.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers, 88.
Keep.
Yeah, you got to keep him. You got to just hope that Geno figures something out. Matthew Golden, 89.
Just at this point, keep. I wouldn't trade for him, but maybe.
No, he seems like he really did do the thing that everyone was really hoping he wouldn't, and he just joined the Green Bay Packers roulette.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
No, it doesn't surprise me, but it stinks because you want someone, you really, really, really want someone there to become fantasy relevant, and they just are refusing to allow it to happen because it's working for their team.
Mhm.
Ish.
It's like the Eagles only running the ball.
Yeah. I mean, who knows, man? Maybe when they lost to the Browns and they tied to the Cowboys, they're like, okay, we got to get something more consistent going here. But I also would say it's probably not the reason why they lost.
No.
Okay, and that's my list of busts. I only went to pick 100 because if you keep going, you can find every single player who's ever busted in the whole entire world. If you want to listen to them, they're listed on the episode description in the order we talk about them. So go ahead, go back, move forward. I do have a question here that is about a trade, and since we're just talking about keep trade cut, let's see what's going on. Egbuka and Brees for Devontae and Saquon.
It's pretty fair, honestly.
It does feel pretty fair to me. Like, who do I want? I want Egbuka and Brees, but that's just because I really love these like young breakout players. If I'm looking at it in a vacuum, Devontae's not so far off Egbuka it hurts, and Saquon is better than Brees, but also not so far off that it's lopsided. So you're upgrading a running back on the Saquon side, and you're upgrading a wide receiver on the Egbuka side.
Yeah, I think Ibuka could maybe take a dip with Godwin and Evans on the field, but also like I don't know, he's looks so good. But I think it's very, very fair trade, honestly.
Yeah. If someone made that trade, or if you're thinking about making that trade, I would say as far as value goes, just from an outside looking in, pretty fair. I do have one more: Quentin Johnston or Montgomery for flex
this week. Who's the Montgomery versus the Chiefs or Johnson versus the Dolphins? Ooh,
I would probably this particular week. Here's how I feel about when the Lions play the Chiefs: is that the Lions are going to want to run the ball down their throat. They don't have to, but I think they're going to want to, and I could easily see a Montgomery touchdown happening.
Yeah, I think Lions Chiefs is just going to score more points. I think it's going to be like a shootout running and passing, but there's going to be a lot of points scored, a lot. So I would take Montgomery just for that reason, but I could also see QJ having like a 30-point game.
Yeah, QJ has been awesome, and that's where this is really getting complicated because as far as who I want in what situation is Montgomery, but QJ himself has been having a season. So the Chargers losing all their offensive line pieces is awful. They are going against the Dolphins, who don't have a good defense.
If your team's not doing too hot and you really need a win, I would probably chase the upside of QJ. If you just need a good win, like go Montgomery. It's hard to say. Like if you really, really need a win, I think QJ provides a much higher ceiling than Montgomery.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. Okay, so let's move on to our starts this week, or not just our starts, our picks this week. So we've got our nuclear boys, our good starts.
Do we want to go over our guys from last week and where we?
Oh, we sure do. You're absolutely right. Thank you. But we'll talk about what happened last week. So last week, I'll go ahead and start off. My nuclear boys I chose were David Montgomery and Garrett Wilson. I actually feel like that went pretty well. Neither of them necessarily had like gigantic weeks, but they had very good weeks. I think David Montgomery in my league had over 20 points and Garrett Wilson had 19. So you're not bad. Great starts.
Very similar to mine. My nuclear boys were Nico and Amon Ra. They didn't quite pop off as much as I thought they could, but they both got you near 20 points. And both the offenses looked great last week.
My good starts gone, great starts. Michael Pittman Jr. and Kyron Williams. I feel very good about that. Michael Pittman had a fine game, and Kyron Williams had a gigantic game, regardless of the fumbles. So if you played these guys, you're in a good place.
My good starts gone great starts were both huge hits. So I said Chuba Hubbard, but I clarified whoever the Panthers RB1 was, and wow, did Rico Dowdle look incredible. Very proud of that call.
Yeah, 100%.
206 yards.
Oof. Like the highest yards. Who knows, man? Rico Dowdle, that's the dude.
It can be interesting going forward. With the Chuba split. I also a lot of this was in garbage time, but I said Justin Fields, and he definitely played it off. He looked pretty awful for 3 quarters, and then he got you like 20 points in 5 minutes.
Ridiculous, man. It was like if you remember Jalen Hurts in his rookie season, how like he kept blowing up all of these. He would have great games, but they would look terrible and they would be awful until the fourth quarter. Justin Fields is doing that right now, where you can't watch him because it looks awful, but he'll get you points. So just
quick side note. Also, I think they had Justin pass 46 times this week. What the hell?
They can't figure it out, man. When Breece Hall is working and they move away from Breece Hall, it's just one of the craziest things. Who knows? For GutCheck starts, I did not have a particular great. This is where my week falls apart a little bit. So I chose AJ Brown and Travion Henderson. Not for lack of opportunities on either side. I think the opportunities were there, so I'm not super upset about the process, but the actual outcome of it was bad on both sides. AJ Brown did not have a great game. He had a very mediocre, pretty bad game for what you'd want from him. And then Travion Henderson just can't put it together right now.
We need to take a break from him.
Yeah, I do. It's for real, 100%.
It's like a watched pot never boils or whatever.
He better boil at some point.
He might. I got Travis Hunter. He didn't pop off quite the way that I expected him to, but he was a solid flex. And then Chris Godwin, just also not because of lack of opportunity, but Godwin just, I don't know. He just was kind of an afterthought in that shootout with the Seahawks. So it's hard to gauge what he's going to look like going forward because the targets, especially in his first week back, were there. But Ibuka is just the alpha here
right now. Yeah, at the very least. Controversial sits, I feel pretty good. Derrick Henry, you shouldn't have played him. And then Isaiah Pacheco, shouldn't have played him.
Nope.
Both had terrible weeks. In their names, like especially Derrick Henry, I don't really know how you sit him if he's on your team. You have to have gotten lucky and got like a Quinshon Judkins late or something. But otherwise, I know he's probably in your lineup, and I'm sorry. That stinks.
Yeah, it does. My controversial sits, I was pleasantly surprised that Tony Pollard. I had called to sit him, but he looked pretty good against the Cardinals' run defense. I think he got a touchdown. He had like 18 points, so his best week of the season. And then I also told you not to sit Jerry Jeudy, and Jerry Jeudy did not do anything.
Stunk. Okay, we're gonna give our picks in just a second here. I have some questions. I might as well just pop them out right now. I have BTJ, T. Higgins, and Derrick Henry. Am I cooked?
Dylan, no. Dylan, you are cooked. You're 0-5. Oh no, it's a different.
No, this is not Dylan. This is a different person.
Wow. So
you know someone in your exact situation.
Exactly. That's so funny. And maybe you have a better team than he does, but I wouldn't say that you are cooked. It's just not looking great.
Yeah. I think if you've managed to pull together 2 wins right now, you could be okay. If you're 1 or 0 wins, you're gonna have to try to get rid of one of these guys for under their value that you drafted them.
It sounds like these are your first 3 picks.
Yeah, it stinks.
Really, looking at it that way, you're cooked in terms of draft luck. But yeah, if you're 1-2 wins already, you can keep it going.
Eduardo asks, would you trade Pollard and Marv for Hampton?
Pollard and Marv if Gibbs, Jacobs, Bill. Whoa,
Yeah.
good team. I mean, there's some depth here too. Like you guys got some good guys late. Damn. I would.
I'm okay with it with your team. Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
gonna want to consolidate your actual starters.
Yep.
Trade for top end talent, even if it's out right now.
Yep. And
Because when you
he might not be taking up a bench spot if you have that set up in your league where you have an IR spot.
So yeah, I'm 100% on it, Eduardo. Like if you can do it. And then last I got, well, this is also Brian. So Brian is actually 3-2. He did say this here.
Oh,
Brian,
nice.
you're not cooked.
You're not cooked now.
Hassan Dowdle or RJ Harvey this week.
Man, this is
Dowdle.
a good.
For me, it's 100% Dowdle.
Is Chuba still out? Oh wait,
I think he is. I think he's going to be. It's not like super clear right now. But
actually,
I would guess that he is. And even if he's not, dude, this is
they're playing the Cowboys.
Dallas.
I forgot they're playing the Cowboys. Yeah, I would start Dowdle of those three guys.
They're already talking crap to each other and everything. Like it's 100% a revenge game at this point. Like they did the whole you better get ready. He's like, I'm already buckled up. I already got my seatbelts. That's not a direct quote. It's much funnier, whatever they said.
I want to go on just a quick tangent here, real quick. I want to talk about the Cowboys offense. So my buddy Max, he took like George Pickens, Jake Ferguson, Dak, and Javante, and we all clowned on him. But he called the like best fantasy offense, I think, this year so far, like in terms of at least points scored. And I mean, a lot of us were saying it was going to be the Bengals. I'm just trying to think if there's been a team in recent memory where there's like four guys that are like within are like in the top 20 of their position. Like this seems like it's been one of the best fantasy starts for an offense that I can think of.
Yeah, I do think that this happens more often than we assume. I think there's probably like one or two teams each year because I remember the Chiefs were doing it for a little bit.
Like early Mahomes days.
Yeah, early Mahomes. Like it was Tyreek, Kelsey, and whoever they had as the running back. The Bengals are the answer from last year, I think. It's too many years in the past now to think off the top of my head, but I feel like every year you see someone, and of course this year's the Cowboys for who knows what reason.
Yeah, it was a good call. It's really hard to call what offenses are going to be the best, but I think you can have a lot of success if you draft top guys from a top offense. It can really hit.
Yeah. Again, I think this season of any season that I remember, we're seeing just how important it is to have an offensive line that has cohesion and skill. And the Cowboys, our offensive line looks great.
Yep, great.
I mean, if I could get a good preseason book that just shows who has the best offensive lines and who has the best potential as offensive lines and who has the worst, and draft only based on that, you would probably have a killer draft, almost certainly, and that's without even like team comp or anything else.
Yeah, that's a safe way to look at it. I mean, that's why the Lions and Eagles are reliably the best offenses in the league.
Okay, so let's move on to our picks this week. What everyone's been waiting for, clearly. And Willie, because you have given our sections their names, I would love it if you just kick us off and explain them each time.
All right, so I got my nuclear boys to start. One guy, this is maybe you wouldn't think of as a nuclear boy, but you know what? Screw it. I think he's going to be great this week. It's Keenan Allen. I think of all the Chargers receivers, he has the safest floor and possibly the highest ceiling. And they just lost Hampton. They're going to have to be passing the ball. They're going up against the Dolphins. They dropped games against the Giants and Commanders. The Chargers need to win this week. They need to win. The Dolphins need to win, but the Dolphins aren't as desperate for a win. And I think that if this game's even a little bit close, the Chargers are going to be peppering Allen with targets just to get up. So I think he's going to go nuclear this week. I also want to shout out Jonathan Taylor. He's nuclear every single week, but I do want to say that on paper, it seems like the Cardinals' run defense is a hard fantasy matchup, or has been. I just think the Cardinals are so defeated right now, and they're so bad.
If Kyler's out of this game,
Kyler's out.
It's not even going to be close.
No, and in that sense, the Colts are going to be up like they were against the Raiders. At least I think, and that will allow them to run even more than they already do.
Okay, so my nuclear boys are going to be super obvious. So sorry for everyone listening. There's no way you get them. I'm just going to call this out right here. So I think that Saquon Barkley is going to go off against the Eagles. Oh, I'm living in the past. He's going to go off against the Giants.
He just has like last year. He just did.
He's going to do it again. They're going to give it the opportunity. Like I said, they passed more than they ever did this season, and they lost the game. They're going to move right away from that. Everybody, never mind.
No, at prime time, they want to show him off.
And then just, I'm sorry, I shouldn't even have picked this guy. I feel bad picking him and saying his name as a nuclear boy because it's the most obvious thing in the world. Puka Nacua. He's going to destroy the Ravens. Ravens don't have a defense that exists right now.
Nope.
I mean, you saw what the Texans could do. Puka is going to have 200 yards or something ridiculous.
I think because of that, if the Ravens even try and cover him, and maybe he has a less than 25-point game, which is possible, maybe. I think that also Devontae Adams is going to look great.
Yeah, and it could be both. I mean, if Houston can boat race these guys, then almost anyone can.
Yep.
Okay, hit us up with our next section.
All right, so we got good starts, gone great starts. These are players that you probably start every week, but this week they're going to have a particularly good week. So last week we had a running back out that I thought went pretty nuclear. I mean, he did go nuclear. I call him go nuclear as Rico Dowdle. And I think if Bucky Irving's out again, I could see Rachaad White having another great game. The Bucs are playing against the 49ers, which even if the injuries, they're a pretty good defense, but partially a gut feeling, partially game script. I could just see Rachaad White really just playing that Bucky role. And because he did it well last week, and I could see him just having a really, really never saw a really good week. And he's involved in the passing game. And then, of course, if Bucky does end up playing this week, he's also going to be a pretty nuclear. But start Rachaad White if you got him. And then I also have Xavier Worthy. I think Chiefs Lions is just going to be an absolute shootout. Like, take the over. Like, it feels like they're both good defenses, but it's going to be competitive. There's going to be a lot of points, and I think that on the Chiefs side, I think Xavier Worthy is going to be the best beneficiary of that because he's just dynamic. He's the best offensive skill position player they have right now, and he runs and he catches passes. So I think he's dynamic enough to really go off this game.
I'm going to ask you questions. Definitely super not based on my own team situation. Okay. Tyquan Thornton's on the waiver wire, and if this game is going to blow up like you're expecting it to, would you play Tyquan Thornton over Harold Fannin or Travis Hunter?
Ooh, I mean, Browns Steelers. Fannin's look good, but I would play Thornton over him. I probably would still play Travis. He's looked really good. He's gotten some long bomb touchdowns. I don't think you can expect that every week, and I don't think the Chiefs are going to be down. So they're not going to be needing to throw like into the end zone to Thornton necessarily. I think he could be good, but I'd probably start Hunter. But
yeah, I know. Okay, like I said, I'm just definitely wasn't my situation. Okay, so I'll talk about my GSGGS, or as I'm calling them, gas guys. Just it's not exactly right, but it's close enough. So the first one I'm picking is a guy who really had his breakout game last week, and I'm going to say just stay with it on him, and that is Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt Bill Krosky, going against the Bears. The Bears are a team that you can definitely run against, and he's looking like a great pure runner. The Commanders, I'm not going to say that they should win this game easily because that's not it. I think it'll be pretty close, but I think Bill Krosky is going to be a big reason for it. So if you're concerned about him, play him.
Did you see the interview he did post game where he was talking? I think it was to Tom Brady, and he was so he's like, "Oh, appreciate it, Tom." He's like, "It's so good."
It is so hard not to just root for someone who looks like that earnest immediately, you know?
Yeah.
And then I have someone in the same game that you chose. Whereas you went with the running back, I'm going with the wide receiver. I'm going with Emeka Egbuka of the Buccaneers against the 49ers. Because here's the thing: the 49ers defense isn't that good. They're not like terrible, but they're not that good. And the Buccaneers are good. However, Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, regardless of who's out there, score points. It's just what they do. They just score points. And the Buccaneers also just score points. So I think that you're going to get a lot of Emeka Egbuka in this one.
My only pushback is that I think Emeka is already a weekly nuclear boy. So
this is where it's hard. We'll nail that down.
I think there's some skepticism that he's going to keep doing it. So I think in that sense, there's a world where maybe you don't necessarily start him each week. But I think I could see week 6 being the week where he just solidifies himself.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at some of the comments that we got recently. He's starting Bill over Brees. What do you think?
This week?
Yeah, I think that's a good decision this week.
Me too. Just because it's a London game
Mhm.
and it's the Broncos and
Yeah.
the Bears.
The Jets. I mean, like maybe if they finally wise up and Brees is working, he'll get a bunch of points. But even when Brees is working, they'll move away from it for some reason.
And I think he could still be really good. I think just Bill has a lot more upside.
And then Brian really wants to start Haskins over Dowdle. I'm telling you, man, Dowdle in this revenge game, like I get where you're coming from, but Dowdle in this revenge game
It's
is
a revenge game
mean.
too. I wasn't even connecting that. Yeah.
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 You're gonna want to start Rico. I get what you're saying. The Dolphins D does suck.
If you have bad fantasy luck, most likely, and you start Dowdle, then most likely Haskins is going to go off and be better. But if it's one of the something like that.
Is, man. Okay, let's move on. Go ahead, give us the next section.
Oh, okay, yeah, some gut check starts. So the first one was a guy in the first 2 weeks you were starting every week. You weren't even having hesitation, but with the Lamar Jackson injury, I think Zay Flowers has fallen off a bit. But I think that similar to the Chargers, the Ravens really need to win this game against the Rams. They don't want to be 1-5 going into the bye. That's just awful. And I think that Cooper Rush hasn't looked great, but I think week 2 of his offense, there's nowhere to go but up. Having said that, they're still going to be down, and I think Zay Flowers is just clearly the most reliable pass catcher in this offense, and I think Zay is going to benefit from the game script, and I think he's going to be good.
I'm so scared of starting a wide receiver with Snoop Huntley throwing the ball.
Where does Snoop play?
He's playing for Baltimore. I think he's taking over the job this week.
Wait, really?
Yeah. That's what
wow.
it sounds like. Yeah, they brought in Snoop Huntley to back it up, and they really did not like Cooper Rush.
Clearly not.
They were very upset about that. So, if Lamar doesn't go, they're saying Snoop Huntley will be considered.
Okay, well, here's the thing. So the offense last week was pretty awkward, but it was Cooper Rush's first start in the system, and at least Snoop Huntley's been there before. So I think regardless, I like Zay. I think he's going to have a bounce back game.
Fair.
And then my
gut check.
There's a gut check. My other gut check, I kind of have two actually. I'll start with the one that this is kind of the bonus one. I'll say the Browns tight ends. This is a big gut check. Don't really want to start either of them unless you need to, but if it's anything like last week, there's a good chance they could be great again. So I wanted to shout that out as a possibility.
Real quick before we move on to your next, just because you said Browns tight ends, I'm going to go ahead and hit this question up. How would you drop Fannin or Vidal for AJ Barner?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm a no on that one too.
No, I wouldn't drop Isaiah Pacheco for AJ Barner. He looked great, but Sam Darnold is not going to throw for 4 touchdowns most weeks.
No, and I'm gonna back you up here with this gut check simply because the Browns tight end situation. Again, Dylan Gabriel was targeting his tight ends heavily, and he is not throwing far down the field. So this is where one of these tight ends is going to be a PPR goldmine. Yep. They both could split it and still do well. I mean, you saw that last week where Fannin didn't have the most awful week tight end wise, and then Njoku had the touchdown.
I think Fannin had a touchdown too.
Maybe. I don't remember if he did. He did have a touchdown, 4 for 13 and a touchdown. That's gross. But this is the sort of QB that Dylan Gabriel looks like he's going to be. He's going to be throwing all of these. They're not exactly checkdowns, but they're as close to checkdowns as you can be while throwing the pass forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 4 for 13 is awful. That's terrible. However, if you're playing in a PPR league, eventually, if he, if he had gotten to like 6 for 40, that's 10 points. You're fine with that for a tight end.
He's getting the targets. Again, a big target guy. He is getting the targets. The other guy I want to shout out as a gut check is Rashid Shaheed, who looked. I mean, he had a great fantasy day because of that. That was the fumble recovery. What did he do? Didn't he do something? He did like a 98-yard touchdown.
Yeah, sorry, Rashid Shaheed. I'm trying to remember because that was one of the games that I didn't see a ton of with the Saints.
Same. I just saw I saw it on Red Zone, but then
he had a giant touchdown. It was a giant touchdown. So let's see. I'll figure this out. It's 87-yard pass from Spencer Rattler. So, I mean, but that's Rashid Shaheed in a nutshell. Like, if he hits those, you have a good week with him, and if he doesn't, so are you calling it that this week against the Patriots, he's going to hit one of those?
I am. I think that it's not like I'm not going off the fact that he looked great last week, so he's going to look great this week because he is very boomer bust. I just think against the Patriots, I like the idea if Christian Gonzalez is playing or whoever their top corner is going up against Chris Olave. Olave isn't the most dynamic wide receiver one, but he gets so many targets from Spencer Rattler that the cornerback one on the Patriots is going to have to be shadowing him. And I think that gives opportunity for Rashid Shaheed to just have a great week.
Fair. Okay, so the gut checks I have this week. The first one is going to be Troy Franklin of the Denver Broncos. The reason being is that the Jets have Sauce Gardner covering the wide receiver one now, and it seems to be a pattern that the wide receiver two is just getting a ton of targets because he's more open, frankly.
Yeah.
And Troy Franklin has looked not just competent at times, but pretty good. You know, he's had some drops. He's had some issues, but he's looked pretty good. And I think that this could be a week that Troy Franklin really shows out and has one of those weeks that reminds you of why you added him in week 2 or week 3.
I like it.
And then after last week, I'm going back to the well. I'm going with Calvin Ridley. So he's they're going against the Raiders.
Okay, that's all you need to say.
They'll cover Alec Manor very well for some reason. And just leave Calvin Ridley to just dominate and destroy him.
He looked, remember at the beginning of last season, he looked pretty bad, like pretty bad. I think he was dropped in most of my leagues. And then second half of the season, he looked pretty damn good. So maybe he just is someone that needs some time to acclimate to a trash offense because he's done that before. So, yeah.
Brian wanted you to know he has good luck.
He does. Okay, so then wait, don't tell me. I would start Dowdle. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Start Dowdle. Yeah.
And then there's a question. He said don't answer. He's gonna be right back. Okay. Go on. Controversial sits. What you got?
All right. Controversial sits. My first one is someone that maybe you would consider sitting anyway because of his backup looking really great when he was out, and that's Jaylen Warren. But also Jaylen Warren was probably your RB2, maybe even your RB1 before he was injured. And he looked pretty incredible. Like he's very, very, very involved in this offense. He looks like a legit, at least high end RB2. And someone that you want to start every week if you own him. I think that if you can, I would try and sit him, not just because of the injury potential coming back from that, the Gainwell, maybe Gainwell gets more involved. I don't think it matters because he's Warren's so in the passing game, but the Browns' run defense is so good, and it's a divisional game. I would just be skeptical of Warren coming back and having a good game. And then my last controversial sit. And this one's just kind of a gut feeling, and I could be totally wrong, but I don't think Darren Waller is going to have a touchdown this week. I don't think he's going to look – he's looked good, all things considered. I just don't – I think he's gotten lucky with maybe some touchdowns. I could see him coming out this week and just not doing anything.
Okay, that leads me perfectly into this question then. Laporta or Waller?
Laporta again, just with the Chiefs-Lions game script, and the Dolphins-Chargers could be pretty high scoring too. But it's more of a gut thing with Waller for me.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. And then I'm gonna follow up on this trade idea one more time with you, Diz, and then so the Egbuka trade, where it was Egbuka and Brees for Devontae and Saquon.
Okay.
Should I reach for Javonte Williams instead? Or should I overpay?
Wait, so reach for Javonte over Saquon, is that?
Yeah, because they declined that trade.
Okay, so Adams and
Javonte for Egbuka and Brees.
Okay, so I think that, we'll see, but I think Javonte and Saquon are unbelievably, I think they're pretty even right now. So maybe the guy you're trading with, maybe he has that name value baked into Barkley and he's less likely to give him up. Also, first round pick. But yeah, I would do that too. I think I like that.
Mm-hmm. If they're willing to move and you really want Devontae Adams that much, as it sounds like you do,
I get it.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I get it. I think switching out for Javonte, if it feels bad, and that might help you, but he's been doing amazing, and that offense doesn't look like it has any reason to slow down.
Mhm.
And then Jang 20 asked, "What are our thoughts on Henderson?" We talked a lot about Henderson a little bit back, so if you go back a little bit, you'll hear us talk about it, especially in the bus part.
Yeah.
Henderson is someone you need to hold on to. He has opportunity, but he has to take advantage of it. He hasn't shown that he can, but as a fantasy player, you have to hope that the skill shines through eventually.
And he also has nowhere to go but up with the Gibson injury.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my controversial sits to finish this out here. I'm going to start off with DeAndre Swift. I don't know how super controversial it is, and they're going against the Commanders, who are middle of the pack as far as rushing yards allowed. However, they're top 10 in rushing touchdowns allowed to a team, and I do feel like DeAndre hasn't shown me that he can be a competent play just by yards alone. It feels like he needs a touchdown to be that guy, and the Commanders seem to be pretty good at not allowing rushing touchdowns. And I also think the Commanders will get up early. The Bears will have to climb their way out. They've got a good offense. They could.
And I think that also with the bye, it's maybe a shot in the dark, but I think that they're going to have Kyle Monangai more involved in the offense after the bye, after he's had some time off to kind of acclimate.
Mm-hmm. And you hope he does, because he's fun to watch. And then my other controversial sit, and this one will be extra controversial right now because of how well he has done so far, is Travis Etienne. The Jaguars are going against the Seahawks. Liam Cohen has been able to put together a pretty good rushing offense. However, the Seahawks have been stifling on the run. Stifling. I can't overestimate, or I can't overexplain how good they have been. They've only been allowing 83 yards to the opposing team's rushing yards total, and they've been allowing less than half a touchdown per game. They are almost as good as Cleveland is as far as run defense, and I think that's going a little bit under the radar. So I think Travis Etienne is not the play this week. If you have other options that maybe are around the same tier, I might go with it.
I was the only thing I would push back, and I agree actually, not to sit Etienne, but to be cautious. Is that Rachaad White did go off rushing against the Seahawks last week, but that was a super high scoring game, and he didn't have a lot of yards. He had 2 touchdowns, but I think he had like less than 40 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and if you imagine that Rachaad White had 2 touchdowns, they still are giving up less than half a rushing touchdown per game.
Exactly. Yeah. And if he hadn't had those 2 touchdowns, I think he passed the eye test for me last week. But if he hadn't had those 2 touchdowns, we wouldn't even. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we have one last question, and it's in relation again to this trade. So Diz, we got you. Do you think Javonte is going to stay consistent rest of the season and maybe even pass Saquon, or do you think the Eagles will pick it back up? I think the Eagles have been doing great, and that's the hard part, is they don't have much reason to change up things that are working. When they tried to change it up, they lost. Saquon might just be this guy this year. He is living through the post 400 touch season. Like, no running back, as far as we have data, and we talked a lot about this a lot in the preseason, has really had a great season after he's someone who has after they've had so many touches the year before. So Saquon might just be this guy where he's kind of plotting a little bit because, man, bodies get tired.
Yeah.
And Javonte, the thing about Javonte is, 1, he's looked good, and 2, this offense is going to continue to get scoring opportunities because Dak's playing out of his mind right now.
So good.
They don't have CeeDee Lamb. That offense will get better when they get CeeDee Lamb. And a better offense is going to allow for more scoring opportunities, and Javonte's been cashing them in. I think he's going to keep cashing them in. I don't see a reason for that to change outside of some freak injury that you have to hope doesn't happen.
I think the only pushback is just one, the name value, but I would argue the Cowboys' offense is even better than the Eagles. They're very close. And the other thing is that Saquon is like the guy in Philadelphia, and maybe you think, okay, maybe the Cowboys will lean more towards a committee, but they won't. I think Javonte is the guy in Dallas. I don't think Miles Sanders looked good in the limited time he's played, and I think Jadon Blue's been a healthy scratch most weeks.
Yeah, so, the Miles Sanders, I agree with you, and I think that's probably what makes my point the most important is that Miles Sanders has had good yardage and I think he's scored and he's looked bad.
Mhm.
This team is set up very well on offense. I think he'll continue scoring. And Jadon Blue, he had his opportunity this last week, and then he wore. My understanding is he wore like Gucci cleats, and they gave him blisters, so he couldn't play in the game. That is not going to ingratiate you
No.
with your team. So,
No.
Javonte is going to be the guy. So, Willie, I think that's it.
I think that's it. I'm excited for this week. I think that there's even less. I think there's the Vikings and the Texans are on bye. I think those are only two.
Yeah.
And there's some good primetime matchups. I'm really excited for Chiefs Lions. Really excited for Falcons Bills in primetime, Eagles Giants in primetime, and Bears Commanders in primetime. So some very good primetime games.
One of the things that I think I'm most excited to see, and this is crazy, I'm so excited to see Joe Flacco beat the Packers for a second time this season.
I would love that. If the Packers lose to the Bengals coming out of the bye, it's over.
It's just that's the pure chaos NFL theory going on. Is the Packers have to lose this game for the whole entire season to just be up in flames immediately for everybody, you know?
Yeah.
With that said, doink out, guys. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for watching.